Ever since the advent of communication technology, it has been expanding at an exponential rate. Some people think it is isolating us from each other, while others think it is bringing us closer together. This is our experience.
We figured being total strangers to each other would be the perfect foundation to figure out if the oversaturated world of communication and technology could compare to face-to-face communication and actually establish a close relationship, or if it would simply maintain the barriers that keep us apart.
It turns out that none of us knowing each other when we first set off to answer a question would work to our benefit. We'd all had first impressions of each other. Whether we would be right or wrong, we could at least be sure that anything we learned about each other would be through some form of non-traditional communication.
I thought that she was really stupid.
He kind of seemed different.
I was semi-attracted to Daniel.
I thought Jeanette was going to be like a super control freak over like every little detail of the project.
I thought the only thing we had in common was we have those long German last names that get mispronounced by every single person.
She seems like a cool person. I didn't really know much about her at all.
I didn't like him. I really didn't, and I was hoping that he wasn't going to be in my group.
When I first saw her, she seemed just like any other girl.
She seemed really loud and bubbly.
Kat struck me as somebody that I could actually end up having problems with when we're working on the project.
I thought she was from, like, the old days when there was no computer.
That he was a metalhead and went to college. I don't know.
Wow, he is a stoner.
Because I really like, he mentioned hallucinogens and that made me happy.
Nice, but kind of bitchy, to be honest.
Unsure about how well we'd be able to work together based on our first impressions of each other, we started our experience. Everybody had some adjusting to do to get used to their new form of communication.
The goal of the project was to get to know each other just using a kind of medium. Me and Megan were using Sidewalk Chalk. And I quickly found out that you can't learn anything at all about someone using Sidewalk Chalk. I ended up actually just going to her Facebook page and learning about her that way.
When I first started the sidewalk chalking, I'm not gonna lie, I hated it.
I had never texted before. I actually was kind of jaded about text messaging. I thought it was a waste of money, that it is dumb. You could just call a person.
It kind of bypasses talking in some aspects. Like, I know in class, when the teacher's talking, you can't exactly pull out your phone and have a conversation, but you can have a silent chat and say what you need to say.
When I made my first vlog, it was just, I had never thought about doing it before. I've had the means to do it for a long time, and I've seen other people's vlogs, but I've always thought, I don't want to be talking on the internet about things that no one else cares about. But then I realized, it doesn't matter if nobody cares, because there will be someone out there that still watches it anyways and still gains something from it.
I normally went with the first recording. I did. Just because I felt like that was more authentic. But I had trouble figuring out what to vlog about. So I vlogged about how environmentalists should have the same rights as religious organizations within the workplace, as far as access to composting and doing things like that. I think that is really cool. And so I did a whole vlog about that. I did a slideshow set to music of all the stuff that's important to me.
After trying our different forms of communication for a couple weeks, it was time to see what each method had revealed to us about the other person.
He actually was a lot more open in texting than I originally thought he would be. So I've kind of learned that, like, even though he kind of seemed like alone at first, I learned that he really chooses that. Like, he likes to be his own person, have his own space.
I've learned through texting that she loves her boyfriend. She loves alcohol, I guess, on rainy days. She loves companionship.
And I thought it was really funny because I haven't even told her this actually, but she really reminds me of like one of my best friends, Andrea. They seem really similar, like the things that are important to them, like they both love their animals, they both really care about the environment, and they like their TV. And like that's really cool because, like, even though, like, I have such a really long history with my other friend and Jeanette seems so similar, I almost feel like I actually have a knowledge of Jeanette's, like, past history, too, now.
He's a guy who kind of just goes through life and he does what makes him happy and he has a good time of it, but there's a whole another side where he's actually putting, like, into his music and into his band and stuff like that, he's actually putting a large part of himself there and out there for people to judge and think about, and I think that he cares. I really do.
The biggest insight that I've learned on Devin is that he'll scientifically break something down and figure out everything about that before he will counter it. You know, he'll find stuff to, like, back up his information.
Now, I found out that Megan is actually a lot goofier than I initially gave her credit for. She is constantly inserting things into her nose and holding up signs, and it distracts, but it also keeps us relaxed. So.
In conclusion, we found that of the 3 forms of communication, none of them were inherently effective at bringing us closer together. But one thing was certain. We were learning that a lot of our first ideas about each other were wrong. In fact, we were so wrong that we all actually ended up goofing around more than working, sharing details of our private lives with the whole group, and having off-the-wall conversations. Oh, and playing a lot of Mario Party. Did our communication with each other bring us together? Or was it our mutual goal of succeeding? Who knows? At least we all made some new friends out of the deal. So it doesn't matter if you're texting, Facebooking, vlogging, or writing. Building meaningful relationships with one another has always and will always be dependent on people wanting to, and being willing to see past the constraints and barriers of communication. So before we blame technology for isolating us, maybe we should take a step back and look inside and realize that we must evolve alongside technology if we hope to maintain the bonds that keep us all connected.